NASA on high alert after mysterious spacecraft slows unexpectedly by 300%. A sudden deceleration of an interstellar object known as 3I/Atlas has placed NASA on heightened alert, a shift they claim no naturally occurring body should be capable of executing. It started in a silent patch of space between Mars and Jupiter, a place cloaked in darkness. Something faster than any vehicle engineered by humanity came to an abrupt halt. Scientists monitoring the live data feeds froze in disbelief. The object, labeled 3I/Atlas, had been soaring through our solar system at speeds exceeding 130,000 miles per hour. Yet now it stood motionless, still against the canvas of stars. There was no explosion, no collision, no visible gravitational force powerful enough to cause such a stop. It was as if time itself had been instructed to pause. For moments that felt eternal, observatories around the globe stared at the unmoving on their monitors, uncertain whether they were witnessing a system malfunction or a phenomenon that defied logic. Every principle of motion ever recorded said this event was impossible. And yet, there it was, still, silent, and seemingly watching back. Then, a signal. Advanced telescopes caught sight of peculiar flashes, reflections repeating in patterns too structured to be random. The blinking followed a tempo, much like a code, prompting the scientific world to ask, what kind of object can come to a full stop in deep space and why? The story began months before the world paid attention. In late 2024, a team of astronomers in Hawaii noticed an unusually fast point of light cutting across the sky. It wasn't a meteor, nor was it a traditional comet. Its speed and trajectory told a different story. This thing wasn't from our solar system. It was designated 3I/Atlas, the third known interstellar visitor after Oumuamua in 2017 and Borisov in 2019. Those earlier objects had baffled scientists, but this one stood out. It was more radiant, swifter, and exhibited movement that suggested deliberate control, like it was being piloted by something unseen. Over the following weeks, global observatories followed its progress as it entered the system, skirted past Mars, and aimed itself toward deep space. All predictions had it continuing outward, eventually disappearing into the void, never to return. That's the script written by gravity, by physics itself, for billions of years. But in the cold vacuum between Mars and Jupiter, that script was torn apart. Because when 3I/Atlas stopped, everything we thought we understood about physics stopped too. For generations, humanity has believed that celestial bodies are in constant motion. Stars drift, planets revolve, comets sweep by and vanish. Nothing simply halts. But when 3I/Atlas ceased its motion, that long-held belief collapsed. Researchers across continents stared at their data in shock. The velocity, previously over 130,000 miles per hour, fell to zero. No naturally occurring object had ever done this. Initially, teams assumed it was a sensor glitch. Equipment can fail. Readings can mislead. NASA and the European Space Agency ran thorough diagnostics, expecting a fault. But every check confirmed the same reality. The surrounding stars continued shifting in their background, confirming the tools were working. It wasn't the instruments that had stopped. It was the object itself. To bring something moving that fast to a halt would require an unimaginable amount of energy, equivalent to a nuclear blast being released every single second. And yet, there was no heat, no debris, no radiation. The space around it remained untouched. No dust trails, no particles, no aftermath, just stillness. Theories began to emerge. Some scientists proposed exotic forces, reverse gravity, negative mass, even spatial distortions. Others speculated the object had drifted into a unique space-time zone. But repeated tests ruled out external causes. The environment was utterly normal. Whatever caused the object to freeze had originated from within. Then, something even stranger occurred. Detectors began picking up faint, periodic bursts of energy coming from the object's surface. Each one brief, less than a second, but perfectly spaced, repeating every few minutes like a slow, mechanical heartbeat. Too precise to be background noise, too steady to be random. It was as if the object was alive, or perhaps awake. This triggered heated debate among experts. Some believed it was a natural oscillation, akin to the rhythmic pulsing of stars. Others disagreed, pointing out that the timing was too exact. It didn't fluctuate, not even by milliseconds. If this was not a malfunction or natural rhythm, then it had to be intentional. Which meant 3I/Atlas wasn't just passively interacting with physics. It was reacting to something. Soon, a new anomaly surfaced. Unlike known space rocks, 3I/Atlas wasn't tumbling or rotating chaotically. It maintained a fixed orientation, at first directed toward the Sun, and later slowly angling toward Mars. This level of stability was beyond what's considered natural. It suggested observation, or worse, preparation. The public learned of the anomaly through online leaks and amateur skywatchers. Smaller observatories verified the findings. The internet ignited with theories, ranging from alien drones to rogue technology. Scientists remained reserved in their public statements. But behind closed doors, many were beginning to admit the obvious. This object was acting with intent. Despite the solar wind, gravitational pulls, and micrometeorites, 3I/Atlas stayed locked in place. Its rhythmic pulses continued unabated. It was like the universe had taken a deep breath and was waiting. A natural object should have drifted, should have spun, should have moved. But this didn't, and the bigger question loomed. If something from outside our system can stop without cause, what happens when it decides to start moving again? The first high-resolution images of 3I/Atlas shocked everyone. It didn't resemble a chunk of ice or space rock. The surface gleamed in a way that no natural substance does. Instead of the uneven scattering of sunlight you'd expect from rock or frozen gas, it reflected like polished metal. The brightness changed in set intervals, forming symmetrical patterns, too ordered to be accidental. The implication was staggering. This wasn't debris. It might be a device. Spectroscopic data soon backed up that theory. It revealed traces of rare metals, including iridium and palladium, combined with complex carbon-based compounds. These elements had never been detected together in any meteorite or asteroid. Under certain lighting, the surface even revealed layers, like overlapping panels crafted with nanoscopic precision. It looked less like something formed and more like something engineered. In response, observatories worldwide began conducting multispectrum analyses. Radio telescopes in South America bounced signals off the object, and the results were astounding. The signals returned as clean reflections, as though the object was covered in a mirror-like skin. Normally, asteroids scatter signals due to their rugged textures. But 3I/Atlas returned signals as smooth as glass. Its reflectivity matched that of man-made materials used to shield space probes. But this wasn't our creation. The findings sent shockwaves through scientific communities. Some researchers claimed that maybe frozen gases had formed a glass-like crust. Others dismissed that outright, pointing out that the temperatures and solar exposure would render such formations unstable. And yet, the object's surface remained unchanged for weeks. No signs of sublimation, melting, or disintegration. The consistency was too perfect for any naturally drifting object. As analysis deepened, yet another anomaly emerged. Tiny tremors ran along the body of the object at regular intervals, recorded as subtle shifts in reflected light. These weren't chaotic vibrations. They were measured, slight adjustments like a spacecraft maintaining balance. Each change altered the object's angle by mere fractions of a degree, before it returned to its original stance. The precision was mechanical, calculated, artificial. Eventually, researchers had to confront the question no one wanted to ask. Was it responding to the environment or managing itself? Natural objects don't correct their orientation mid-flight. They spin endlessly under the influence of gravity. But 3I/Atlas maintained equilibrium, even when battered by solar particles. Some compared it to a craft using unseen thrusters. Others guessed it might be leveraging exotic magnetic forces. Speculation across the internet exploded. Leaked photos showed the object's metallic shimmer. Conspiracy forums theorized alien probes, ancient machines, even intelligent automatons. Agencies declined to comment. But within professional circles, the theory was gaining momentum. This thing wasn't drifting. It was maneuvering. Weeks after it came to a stop, something new happened. As sunlight hit it from a different angle, a panel near its middle appeared to open slightly, releasing a narrow stream of infrared light before sealing shut. The whole event lasted under 2 seconds, but was caught by multiple observatories. Some said it was natural outgassing vents releasing trapped material. Others weren't so sure. The movement was too crisp, too exact. It resembled the deliberate action of an aperture adjusting its focus, a mechanism fine-tuning its own function. If this object truly possessed moving parts, then humanity might be witnessing the first engineered interstellar vessel ever discovered. Its flawless symmetry, metallic surface, and controlled vibrations all pointed to one conclusion, one that few dared to speak aloud. The universe might not be the silent void we once believed it to be. And if 3I/Atlas was created by someone or something, then the most pressing question became clear. What was its purpose? After several weeks of quiet, the stillness of 3/Atlas finally shattered. Without any forewarning, the object altered its position, rotating gradually until all reflective surfaces pointed in a single direction. That direction was Mars. Observatories worldwide recorded the identical motion within hours. The adjustment was fluid and exact, as if following precise commands. There was no sign of randomness. It was intentional and it was observing something. Initially, researchers believed solar wind pressure might have triggered the shift, but the angle was too precise to be coincidental. Soon after, spectrometers identified narrow streams of energy flickering across the Martian terrain. These beams were invisible to the naked eye, composed of infrared and ultraviolet light capable of penetrating dust and rock. 3I/Atlas seemed to be methodically scanning the planet layer by layer, moving from one area to another with mechanical accuracy. It began with Jezero Crater, where NASA's Perseverance rover had previously searched for signs of ancient life. Then it moved to Valles Marineris, the vast canyon stretching thousands of miles across the surface. Finally, it concentrated on Elysium Planitia, a plain that once contained flowing rivers. Every location shared one feature. All were considered likely habitats for life. Now, something from beyond our solar neighborhood was examining them as well. NASA and ESA swiftly redirected their instruments toward Mars to verify the observations. The outcomes were remarkable. Reflected light from the surface produced repeating bursts resembling radar echoes. However, the most perplexing discovery came next. A small segment of each burst did not return to 3I/Atlas. Instead, it was redirected toward Earth. This breakthrough altered everything. Why would an interstellar object aim its scans at our planet? Was it transmitting data, or comparing Mars to Earth, attempting to detect something recognizable? For the first time, even the most doubtful scientists began to accept that 3I/Atlas was behaving unnaturally. Its movements followed a pattern, as if carrying out a mission. Although official agencies withheld comments, leaked information revealed that analysts had uncovered faint patterns embedded in the returning signals. When decoded, these patterns corresponded exactly to the coordinates of the regions surveyed on Mars. It wasn't merely illuminating the surface. It was measuring, mapping, and relaying information in an ordered sequence. Public fascination exploded. Online forums claimed 3I/Atlas had uncovered something buried beneath Mars. Some speculated it sought ancient ruins or the remains of its creators. Others thought it was searching for evidence of itself, a sign of a previous visit. Scientists dismissed most of these speculations. Yet one question remained impossible to silence. Why Mars? New infrared data exposed another enigma. Whenever the object's beam swept across certain areas, a faint glow appeared over the northern hemisphere. It resembled a heat signature but vanished too quickly to be geological. Some likened it to electromagnetic interference, the kind that arises when energy interacts with underground metal. The notion that something metallic might lie beneath Mars rekindled old debates about the planet's history. For several days, the object persisted with its thorough examination. Each scan lasted exactly 6 hours before relocating. It showed no hostility, only precision. The movements were calm but purposeful, as if confirming something invisible to us. Then, as abruptly as it had started, the scanning ceased. The sensors went offline. For a moment, silence returned. But seconds later, one final burst of energy shot from 3 ice Atlas and sped directly toward Earth. It lasted just a second, yet contained more data than any previous signal. No one knew what that final pulse meant. Some believed it signaled the scan's conclusion. Others thought it was a message or a warning. Whatever the truth, one fact was clear. 3/Atlas had not surveyed Mars by accident. It was searching for something specific, and it might have already discovered it. If it originated from beyond the stars, and if Mars was merely the starting point, what will it do when its gaze eventually turns to Earth? Days after completing its Mars scans, 3/Atlas fell silent once again. For nearly a week, it drifted motionless, showing no signs of activity. Then one night, deep space observatories detected something unusual. A faint radio transmission was emanating directly from the object. It pulsed at flawless intervals, growing stronger with each repetition. The signal was steady, rhythmic, and deliberate. It was not random noise. It was communication. At first, scientists suspected interference from satellites or cosmic background radiation, but the signal's source matched 3/Atlas precisely. The transmission repeated every 13 seconds with mathematical exactness. When decoded, the frequency shifts created recognizable patterns. Short, long, and evenly spaced. These patterns aligned with the sequence of prime numbers, 2, 3, 5, 7, 11, and so forth. No natural phenomenon could generate this. Prime numbers serve as a universal sign of intelligence. It was as though the object was introducing itself to any listeners. Teams from NASA, ESA, and SEI immediately began decoding the entire transmission. They discovered that following each prime number sequence came geometric ratios indicating distance and angle. When visualized, these numbers formed a map of our solar system. One location on that map shone brighter than all others. It wasn't Mars. It was Earth. The realization stunned all. The message was deliberate. It was precisely targeted at our planet. The signal repeated endlessly, cycling through the sequence again and again. It seemed designed to guarantee that someone here would notice. Governments reacted swiftly. Emergency sessions were held to decide whether to respond. Some argued this was humanity's awaited moment, a sign of life beyond Earth. Others cautioned that replying might expose us to unknown threats. For decades, scientists had debated whether we should speak first or remain silent. Now, that debate had become reality. News spread worldwide within hours. Major media outlets dubbed it the broadcast from the stars. Millions watched live streams as the decoded numbers appeared on screens. Religious groups hailed it as proof that humanity had never been alone. Skeptics claimed it was a natural echo or a malfunction in space probes. Yet none of these explanations matched the data's precision. Further analysis revealed an even clearer connection. The signal repeated every 37 hours, the exact interval of pulses recorded from 3/Atlas weeks earlier. This link confirmed the message originated from the same intelligence that had halted the object midspace. It was no accident. It was intentional. After a week of broadcasting the same pattern, the transmission abruptly changed. The prime number sequence disappeared, replaced by a brief burst of energy compressed into light and sound. Mapping the new signal revealed two intersecting orbits. One belonged to Mars, the other unmistakably to Earth. The implication was undeniable. 3/Atlas had completed its Mars study, and now was focusing on us. It wasn't calling into the void. It was calling home or calling us. No one could say what the message truly meant. Was it an invitation, a test, or a simple acknowledgement that we had been found? Whatever it was, one truth emerged. For the first time, the silence of the cosmos was broken, and the voice that spoke was not from Earth. If it was reaching out deliberately, the real question is both simple and haunting. What happens if we decide to answer? The discovery of the 3/Atlas signal divided humanity. Governments, scientists, and the public all agreed on one fact: it was artificial. Yet no consensus existed on its meaning, or on what humanity's next step should be. For the first time, the notion that we were not alone transcended science fiction. It became an unsettling reality. Inside NASA's command centers, tension rose. Data from deep space receivers showed the same pattern endlessly repeating with perfect timing. It was not random. It was purposeful. Three main theories soon emerged to explain what was occurring. Each seemed plausible, but none offered comfort. The alien probe hypothesis. This idea posited that 3/Atlas was an autonomous spacecraft dispatched by a distant civilization to explore and collect information. It had stopped near Mars. Its detailed scans and mathematical signals matched the characteristics of a Bracewell probe, a device designed to find and communicate with intelligent life. If true, then it had succeeded. It had found us. However, no transmissions were detected leaving the solar system. Signals were directed inward, not outward. This suggested the object might not be reporting home, could be storing data or awaiting something. The ancient artifact theory. This concept suggested that 3/Atlas was not a visitor but a survivor. Some believed it was a self-replicating machine constructed millions of years ago by a civilization now extinct. Over time, it may have drifted through space until something near Mars reactivated it. The metals on its surface, mixed with traces of organic compounds, seemed to support this hypothesis. They indicated age, deterioration, and prolonged exposure to cosmic radiation. If this were true, then 3/Atlas was not the start of contact, but an echo of one, a remnant from a time when the universe might have been filled with machines like it. The possibility that others still exist, silent and waiting, was both thrilling and deeply unsettling. 3. The surveillance theory. The most unsettling theory proposed that 3/Atlas was not sent to communicate, but to observe. Experts noted that its transmission frequencies matched the same bands used by Earth's radar and satellite systems. To them, this was no coincidence. The object had been monitoring our planet for years, intercepting our signals and studying our behavior. Its recent activity might have been a test, to see how humanity would respond. While scientists debated behind closed doors, the public clamored for answers. Social media exploded with panic, curiosity, and hope. Some believed governments were concealing the truth. Others insisted the message was harmless, a simple greeting from beyond. Religious groups called it a divine sign, while skeptics dismissed everything as human error. The conversation shifted from science to philosophy, from discovery to fear. Through all the arguments, one fact remained clear: the object continued transmitting. The rhythm never changed. Its energy output remained steady. Its focus on Earth never wavered. It demanded nothing, yet refused to vanish. To many scientists, that persistence was more unnerving than any threat. It signified purpose without emotion, observation without empathy. By the month's end, the signal was still active, pulsing in the same flawless sequence. Humanity began to adapt to its presence. But the heavy feeling of anticipation lingered. There was no response from 3/Atlas, no change, no escalation, only the quiet certainty that an intelligence was watching from the shadows. The story of the object had ceased being just about discovery. It had become a mirror, forcing humanity to confront how it reacts when the unknown finally looks back. Weeks passed, and the 3/Atlas signal continued unchanged. The world grew quieter, as if everyone awaited the next move. Scientists kept instruments aimed at the object, but it no longer replied. The transmission remained constant, cycling the same sequence like a heartbeat echoing through the void. Humanity, for the first time, stood united under a single question, not of fear but of awareness. Whether it was a probe, an ancient relic, or a silent observer, 3/Atlas had proven the universe was not empty. It had demonstrated that someone, somewhere, was capable of reaching across the stars and making contact. In the end, the object never spoke again. It hovered in darkness, motionless and patient, as if it had already learned everything it came to know. For now, Earth watches it as closely as it once watched us. Perhaps one day it will move again. And when it does, humanity will no longer see it as a stranger, but as the dawn of a new chapter. A reminder that the watchers may not only be out there, but also within us.